Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. With the Boston event and the New York Major 4 just around the corner, the subliners themselves are certainly going to need to have a great performance if they want to qualify for the World Championship, but they will need a substitute on tap just in case it is required. Seems like Clayster's going to be their guy and seems rather frustrated at the situation, potentially based on how he's been treated by the team so far this year. Very much enjoying your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. Videos on the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Well, once again, COD Mobile proving its supremacy right here, but plenty to discuss. Of course, yes, the subliners, they've got a lot of merch on the way, I'm pretty sure, at Major 4 as well, so there's some exciting stuff, I suppose, just around the corner here. But this firstly from Tron's Ultra, I thought this is a pretty cool announcement. Well, a major announcement, they say. Turns out they're doing a podcast, actually, with none other than Joey DeLuca, that being Merc, and Maven, of course, so good to see these guys, of course. Like, at the start of this season, we didn't even think these guys were going to be casting this year. There was all this drama about whether it was, like, payments or whatever, like, salary type stuff. Like, eventually, they came to an arrangement where they just do the majors and not the main event, which honestly has worked out rather well, but of course I'm sure they're looking for other things to do the whole time rather than being CDL casters the whole year, so I guess it was a budget thing from the CDL's perspective. But yeah, I used to love this podcast. It was called Hardpoint. If you guys watched it, I don't know when they started up. I'm thinking maybe Black Ops 4 time, even maybe earlier than that, to be honest. And it was with Maven, Merc, TP, and Crowder on the show. Like, maybe he was even called Replays at the time. I think he was called Crowder then. Like, and yeah, maybe it was more recent than I'm kind of remembering. But still, they did a fair few episodes. It eventually stopped, and kind of they couldn't really find the time to be on the same time together, right? I think they were having issues with all their streams and stuff. It was difficult to find an overlapping schedule that actually worked, so that kind of podcast eventually ground to a halt, as often they do. But yeah, this one should be a good time. I always enjoy listening to Merc, especially. I think he has some really insightful ideas, and Maven's, great character as well. So I'm looking forward to tuning into this one. Cool that Toronto got them on board because they, the maple syrup and stuff, the Merc and Maven podcast. So like, we shall see how long this lasts. Hopefully it lasts a fairly long time, but that's the thing. Like, podcasts crop up all the time, and very few of them survive beyond, let's say, 20 episodes, right? So we'll see how this one goes, but I thought it was cool news regardless. Let's talk about Crimsix real quick. There was, honestly, this guy is an absolute content machine. Like, the Crimsix in Cars kind of a Getting Coffee series or whatever it is that he's honestly a lot of good fun. He even went to, like, the Envy Gaming headquarters. It's kind of an interesting one because you've got the Hex quarters, then you've got the Envy Gaming setup, but of course that Envy kind of no longer exists now. It does exist, but the brand in esports has kind of been overtaken, if you guys missed that news, by Optic, so effectively everything that was Envy is now going to be called Optic, despite being owned, I'm pretty sure, by the kind of Envy Gaming Incorporated company, whatever exactly it's called. If they've got a holding company or whatever the investors over there are doing, it's a bit of a question mark, right? But of course, Crim, formerly of that organization, I don't know if you can actually see the clip when he went to the, yeah, okay, he does it right here. I'll just share this for a couple of seconds because this, I guess, is the entrance right here. The Envy Gaming logo, such a good logo, which is now being retired from esports at the very least. Who knows if it'll come back in the future, but seems rather unlikely. There was some talk actually from Hex, right, about the Huntsman branding, Chicago Huntsman, whether that logo could make a return at some point, maybe to merchandise or something. Like, we shall see. But yeah, seems rather unlikely, unfortunately, at the moment. Now, talking to Crimsix, actually, this I thought was some good news. Like, he got some work done, like, to try and figure out what's wrong with his lip, right? Because I believe a couple of doctors he spoke to thought it was something called angioedema, and I think we talked about this a little bit ago, right? I think he says angioedema here, but I think it's maybe angio. I'm not exactly an expert on this type of stuff, right? But the third doctor he spoke to doesn't think it's that. I think it might just be allergies or whatever, because he talked about the kind of, well, not necessarily horrific, but he'd have to go through a lot of work on his, like, diet. He'd have to cut out, like, everything from his diet to try and deal with this, and it could be a difficult thing to manage, especially trying to be the best player in the world in Call of Duty. So hopefully it's less serious than this. We'll see what they come out with, right? But even the fact that Crimsix has been dealing with this now for a couple of months, right, behind the scenes, and like still is performing the level he is, and the team is on the subliners going into the rest of the season, I think is very impressive as well. So of course, like, the subliners are looking good. They're currently 4-0 this stage. This weekend though is the Boston event. Clayster, former New York subliners player earlier this year, now for a couple of seasons. Kind of crazy how Clayster's career works, where he has a team full of youngsters, and then Crimsix comes in and then takes him away from him. Him on Dallas Empire. Now it's happened here pretty much on the New York subliners. But yeah, this of course is the Boston event this weekend. Doug, Shawnee, they're already raring to go. So excited to follow the progress this weekend. I hope the stream's going to be great. The venue itself actually looks fantastic for stuff like this. So good to see an event like this being put on by great organization. Boston have done great things so far this year. Really happy about what they've been delivering. And also this, right, we even saw at the start of the season, or even the CDL doesn't like to put on trophies. And for a challenges event, they certainly are going to put on a trophy. But Boston themselves are coming up with this kind of mask trophy right here. I honestly thought this is really cool. The kind of mask gimmick they have is honestly one of the best ones, I think, in the league. So yeah, these are going to be the trophies for the winners of the Challengers Open. So excited, of course, to see who does turn up the victor this weekend. And one of those teams might be the John Kaiser Cryptic and Yuli team we looked at yesterday, where they're kind of, they could go back as the Cellium medallions or something, but it turns out they're actually being supported by an organization called Timeless, plus Gersh and Standy, so, you know, massive worship on this one, are supporting the team. I think they only needed like maybe a flight or, you know, hotel accommodation, so they needed a few things kind of supported and paid for, but kind of crazy really that I think this team in terms of pro points were like, you know, right up there, right, in terms of pro points in the top of the North American standings, and it's just kind of a sad state to see, like, not just because of Gersh and Standy stepped into this organization Timeless, which is cool to see, but like, it's just back in the day, these type of organizations at the top of the challenger side, like, the non-pro league, would have no issue at all getting some sort of organization to fund them for stuff. Nowadays, like, you have to get community members to step in and do it for them, so just shows the sad state of the challengers world, really. And I think they're actually the third ranked team, right? You can see the pro points they have right here. It's actually one of these teams now that Welly, I think, had to step out of the House of Wit team, and therefore they had to get a substitute in as Zyril, right? So they're now the 4th seed as they would have been the 3rd seed, so that's unfortunate for that team, of course, but yeah, still, Clayster's team, 7th seed right here. They're looking to make a run this weekend. Speaking of the challenger side, actually, there was a bit of an update on this because Doug has been probably emailing the CDL every single day to try and make them change the challengers format. I don't know how much success he's been having, but apparently they have made some tweaks, but the completely wrong tweaks, it seems. So like, this has been leaked yesterday, right? It came out on Clayster's stream, and Clay was kind of asking what's going on with champs. Is it still going to be 8 teams? Like, for the last chance qualifier, only 8 teams get to go. So the idea is 4 teams make champs through global pro points, and then 4 teams make champs through the regional last chance qualifiers. Now, I'm pretty sure there were only meant to be 8 teams at the LCQ. Now there's going to be 32 teams at the LCQ, but still only 1 team qualifies. So they've kind of fixed one of the issues, but completely ignored, or maybe they just can't do it logistically, the other side of the issue. I thought it was a funny comment that was actually mentioned here at the end of this clip. I'll share it for you guys here in a second. That, you know, effectively the LCQ is the World Championship.
Alright. Did I make Challenger Champs? That hasn't determined yet. Yo, we have to be top 8 in pro points in NA to even qualify for the LCQ, right?
No, they changed it.
Oh, they changed it?
Yeah, they've changed it.
It's top 32?
They've not announced it, but yeah, they are changing it.
How many people qualify?
1.
Just 1?
Yeah, so far, yeah, just 1.
Out of 32 teams?
Yeah, yes.
You've
You've got to win that
team,
thing
bro.
to qualify.
Bro. That's the, dude, that LCQ is the day before I move too, bro. I'm gonna be stressing.
Oh my god! It's gonna be harder than champs, bro.
It's either like the next day when I'm moving, either my season's over or I'm gonna be stressed moving as fast as possible, bro.
The LCQ basically is champs if you think about it.
Oh yeah, well.
The LCQ.
So that's the crazy thing about this format, right? Only, it seems, the Ultra Academy North America are going to be able to go to the World Championship in the Challenger side based on pro points. The other 3 teams will be from Europe, more than likely. And then 1 other NA team will get to go to the World Championship, determined through, like, what is, thankfully, a massive 32-team bracket, but only 1 team qualifies. Like, what is that about, right? That's the most important tournament of the year, probably, is qualifying for the World Championship for Challengers, not just, you know, actually the tournament itself. So, crazy scenes. I guess, look, good they're listening to feedback and trying to change, I guess, what they can, but it doesn't seem like they've really changed what people want them to change, right? And Clay's kind of saying even there, like, you know, damn, he's going to be moving out or whatever 1 day before or 1 day after, like, this kind of LCQ goes down. So, going to be tough scenes for him, I suppose. But of course, yes, Boston event is this weekend. Clayster is not flying out quite as of yet. I'm pretty sure he's going to be flying out today on the Thursday, so it's going to be getting there potentially a little bit of suspect time. We obviously saw last event, actually, when Clayster's teammates couldn't turn up. I think it was, I don't know if it was Johnny, actually, at the time, or someone's flight got delayed and they barely got into the venue in time. So hopefully that doesn't happen to anyone this upcoming weekend. But as Clay points out, leave for a long travel stint. Tomorrow, Boston at 7th through the 13th, then New York until the 18th. Sucks I won't be able to stream or game, really, but I appreciate you guys have been showing love in the stream. But a lot of fun. Glad I made the decision to play Challenger. So good to see from Clayster, like he was kind of saying earlier this season when he got dropped that, you know, why would I ever play Vanguard ever again type stuff. And he's gone down to Challengers, done a great thing. And I think, like, based on his performance here, he will get a spot next year. I'd be very surprised if an organization doesn't say, look, Clay, let's do what we did, like what Seattle did, get Clay in as an accuracy and try and build some talent around Clayster, right? And obviously down there in the Challengers right now, he gets the opportunity to scout out potential players that he might want to team with next year if an organization gives him free reign to do what he likes. But this is rather interesting, right? Because of course Clay's got to try and prepare for Challengers, so he's got to prepare for the LCQ and this type of stuff after the Boston events. But instead of doing that, he's going to have to go to the New York event and effectively be there with the team. I was kind of wondering, why is he in New York? Is he just trying to, because he did this for Minnesota Major 2 when he went to the event, kind of with the intention of, like, just speaking speaking to pros, trying to maybe finesse his way to a spot. One team gets body slammed out of the tournament. Clay goes up at the bar, has a, buys him a drink and says, commiserations, mate, maybe you want to bring me into the team instead of your current mate AR. Like, maybe that was kind of part of the idea there, right, from Clay. But I just wanted to have a good time, to be honest. But yeah, this New York event, he's not necessarily going out of his own choice because he wants to stream, he wants to game, he wants to practice with his team, but he might not get the chance to do that because the team is effectively requiring him to go. Now, of course, at the end of the day, he is the official contracted sub for the team. Makes sense why they're going to force him to go to this event because, like, look, they need a substitute there. But just the way he describes this tweet, right, as he says, team is requiring me to go as an emergency substitute in kind of quotation, saying that, okay, they don't really need me, but they're making me go along regardless. So look, Clay is still getting paid his salary. Like, look, at the end of the day, there's a contract in place where Clay probably has to go to this and maybe feels, okay, fair enough, whatever. That's just the responsibility that I have. But I'm sure feels a little bit, frustrated with this just because, like, he got benched off the team in very dramatic fashion earlier this season, and now the team and Crimsix is still dragging him around, like, to all these events to make him sit there as a substitute, even if, of course, like, if they did have a situation, like, that would be a crazy world, right? If, like, Crim had to step out or someone had to step out and Clayster to sub in, like, that'd be a wild timeline, especially if they needed Clayster to perform to make the World Championship or something. Like, hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully New York with their current roster can still continue, but it is at least something to consider. So I think Clayster could understandably be a bit frustrated about the fact that, okay, he's being dragged along here to this event, but, like, there's definitely been a lot of friction between Clay and the New York management this year. Like, I think he's even mentioned that he barely ever really talks to them or gets updates from them, but kind of one of the key points were that they were obviously talking about potentially selling him to another team or loaning him to another team. Like, as he mentioned right here, there's been 4 pro spots he could have had this year that have been effectively turned down for whatever reason. Now, I think maybe he got an opportunity on Florida. Like, there's been a couple of teams, maybe even Minnesota, I'm not really sure, but there's a couple of teams that wanted Clayster, and a couple of players certainly that wanted Clayster after he got benched and wanted to bring him into their lineup. Now, for whatever reason, the organization New York couldn't come to an arrangement with the other teams. Maybe that's just because a team like Florida doesn't have the money to pay, but, like, still, I would have thought Clayster certainly seemed to think that a loan arrangement could have been plausible. Like, an organization like Florida could say, okay, whatever, we'll take over your salary. Let's say they brought in, Clayster for Dave Paddy, right, instead of Major Maniac, for example. Not saying that'd really be a great move based on what we're seeing with Florida, but, still it was at least an option. Florida could say, okay, look, New York, we'll take over Clayster's salary for these final couple of months because Clayster's out of a contract at the end of this year. So theoretically, if New York can get any money back for him, that is sensible from their perspective because Clayster can just walk at the end of the season when his 1+1 is officially over. So definitely a strange situation to me, but Clayster did seem frustrated this entire season, really, since he's been benched. That he's had all these opportunities, but, like, New York just don't seem to want to budge on the contract stuff, on the other buyout stuff or the loan stuff, even if a loan arrangement might make sense for all parties, right? So maybe as a result of that, Clayster's kind of thinking, I'm kind of fed up with this organization, get me out of here, to be honest. And we'll see if, of course, if he gets a spot going into next season as well. Obviously wishing the best. And this I thought was kind of crazy actually from Clayster to mention real quick, that apparently Clayster has 10k up and down. I don't know if that's even possible. In the UK, like, I don't know if that's anywhere near possible. The player says you're trolling, right? I want an online champs. What do you think? So, I don't know. I thought 1k was possible, but I've never seen anyone have 10k. Is that even possible, guys? If you guys are in the US on, like, one of these AT&T fiber lines, maybe it is plausible. But those are just otherworldly speeds to someone from the UK, to be honest. And, well, just to mention a couple of funny things really to close out the video, I thought this was nice from Karina, like Sky's girlfriend. She managed to find up his YouTube bio when he was only 11 years old. So here's his bio right here on YouTube. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My real name is Caesar Bueno. You can make fun of my name all you want. Here I will start to make videos and I'll be streaming live every week. My main goal is to join Optic. Well, the punctuation quality is superb. Kind of crazy, right? My main goal is to join Optic, and now he owns Optic, right? He beats them every week. I always wanted to join them for about 2 years, so thank you for reading this. ... I will be posting some montages soon, so I don't know. I thought this was kind of nice. It just goes to show, like, the impact that Optic have on a lot of these players when they were younger, right? Coming up in the scene. Like, pretty much every player, most players when they were, like, younger and 11 or whatever, probably Optic fans back in the day if they were following Call of Duty. But that's going to do it for this one. Very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button. Tell us YouTube gods, this is a good video. That is like you should see it as well. And I'm great at the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.